onward to the Nexus.
Well, we'll see if they can claim that Nexus here in game number 3, as game number 2 was the first time throughout this entire tournament that RNG had an early lead and was unable to close with a win. Now they're back on the blue side. It's Zoe, Senna, Varus, Lucian, Lee, and Renekton all banned away. Now remember, in the last game, Khan had a pop-off performance on Lee Sin, huge insect kicks that really decided a couple of very important moments in the game, but now that they're on the red side, they've banned it themselves. They don't want to allow RNG the opportunity to first pick it, but RNG is happy to first pick the Udyr that has been working out well for Wei so far.
It is interesting to see that the Xerath left off the table, so RNG perhaps thinking, well, Showmaker, you won't run it back, or if you do, we can deal with it better. The Thresh coming through here, though, very interesting for Beryl as the first pick. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to lock in Morgana or anything instantly because you can kind of already know.
That's why it's
like
first pick.
Okay, so
That's why.
Thresh Jinx. So Jinx is one of those champions that a lot of pros will tell you can match up fairly well against Kai'Sa in the laning phase because of the additional range, right? You have the Thresh to keep you safe. You have the hook into Chomper's combo for potential all-ins. You have the rocket form where you have the additional range to actually outrange and poke away on that Kai'Sa to get the push. I am also expecting a third pick Morgana again, right? Which pairs up very well with this Jinx. If you get the Jinx going, you have the Morgana to protect her. She can run over a fight. You get that first reset, you get the move speed, and you can go wild. So we'll see if RNG want to swap anything up or if it's just going to be Nautilus plus Kai'Sa. Instead, they go with the Gnar. So this does add a little bit of a wrinkle. It's basically saying, all right, you either have to go Morgana here or we will ban it. And if you do that, then we will ban out some of the difficult answers for Gnar. So you kind of have to decide which is more important. Do you even want to go towards those? You know, are you going to go for the standard jungle pick? Are you going to try to get a good top lane matchup right here? You know, I think jungle makes the most sense. Yeah, this just compositionally makes the most sense.
Right.
But it does mean that on both sides, there's a bit of a discrepancy, right? Dom 1, you expect, all right, target some supports, take away the primo combos that want to be paired with this Kai'Sa. And on the other side, if you're Xiaohu and you're saying, all right, well, I don't want to go against Jace. Okay, let's ban that out. You could probably say, well, maybe Aurelia. You don't know if he's going to pick it or not. Maybe a GP. If you want to focus towards what Khan has played, I would be thinking you ban GP as well as the Jace to protect this Gnar up on the top side. So both teams are going to have their advantages in different lanes, and then it's always coming down to execution. Who can get the most out of the advantages you have drafted for?
Okay, the Orianna also banned away here by Dom1, keeping Cryin off of that one. Last ban of this draft. RNG does have a little bit of time to think about this one if they want to continue targeting that top lane. Jace is the Azael prediction. Let's see how big that brain is, buddy. Couple more seconds winding down here. Will it be Jace, or are they confident that Xiaohu can handle that matchup well enough? Okay, they're banning out the Scion instead. You've already pointed out previously how this was a staple, by far the most played champion for Khan during the regular split in spring. They don't want to deal with that massive tank line here when you already have the hyper carry and Jinx.
So what they're doing is they're attacking the composition more than the lane, if you know what I mean, right? Yeah. By banning out the Scion, you're saying, okay, you have Jinx, you have Morgana. You want to fight, you want a 5v5, it's got to be front to back, so you want a big meatball up in the front line. Khan is great on the Scion, so we'll ban that out. Even if you go for the Jace, you're kind of making the bet that, hey, it's not going to fit in as well, but it's actually Nocturne as the lock-in. This could be a flex. You don't know if it is mid or top, so there's always the concern there now of the pick here coming through from Cryin, but I think more likely it will go up towards the top lane, kind of fits the style of champions that Khan has been playing. So it's a bit of a different draft, right? You're trying to dive in here with the Nocturne, and generally when you go Nocturne, I feel you want to dive, buddy. So now I'm thinking, all right, no matter where this is going, top or mid, you probably want a secondary aggressive pick to be able to go alongside the Nocturne. Yes, you can use the Nocturne ult to just kind of confuse things in the team fight, but you generally don't want to just be hitting frontline and just using that for kind of the confusion that it provides. You want to have something like an Silas or an Akali or someone alongside you who flies in with you, allowing you to get that first kill for Jinx, who has the long range access with her ultimate to then kind of snowball through that fight.
Okay, we'll see if the Syndra is just a bit of a bait here. Final picks of the draft for RNG were Leona there in the support position and the Rise. And the final pick is Syndra, so Showmaker will be on that one. So Nocturne is sort of the lone diver here. Paranoia providing the utility to try to keep the carries safe, as you already mentioned, touched on a little bit there.
Yeah.
But it's two massive cannons with a lot of DPS uptime on the side of Damwon, and RNG is going to have to maneuver around that here in these teamfights.
Absolutely, and it can be a very difficult matchup for the Rise. A lot of pros do prefer the Syndra in this matchup. You can outrange, you can bully this guy in lane, potential to lock him down, to take him out. Again, incredible value for Merc Dreads on the side of RNG, you know, maybe even better than the previous game because you've got Morgana binding, you got Fear from the Nocturne, the stun as well from the Syndra, Chompers, Hook, etc. So much CC, honestly, on both sides, but even more on the Dom 1 end. I'm going to be interested to see how Con wants to play out these team fights, right? You can actually win out in these 1v1 potentially. You know, when you're in the mini Gnar, you can look for ults in. You have great wave clear. You kind of deal with the Gnar mostly just by ignoring him and killing off the wave. If he tries to get aggressive, you have the tether to be able to scrap with him in that 1v1. But it's going to be really interesting to see how they play out in the 5v5. If you can poke someone out, you know, with the Morgana or with the Syndra, kind of fishing for scatters, fishing for bindings, then maybe you can use that Nocturne to go in for an execute, but I think that can be difficult. And while Morgana sometimes can play the role of the dive buddy, largely you don't see that. You know, most of the time you don't see the Morgana just kind of flashing in for the ult Zhonya's until much later in the game. You kind of need that second item before you can go for it. So interested to see how they will play it out. And I think that the role that Ghost is playing here is incredibly important, right? Like, he is their big, consistent damage. There's going to be 3 frontliners here with the Gnar, the Udyr, with the Leona. Jinx is going to be responsible for dealing most of the damage to kill them off. And on the other side, you've got Rise, who maybe is going to be disadvantaged early in the laning phase, but then can get out to the side lanes. You can look for a 1-3-1 with Xiaohu on the Gnar, with Cryin on the Rise. You have great pick potential to actually join in on those side lanes with Gala using that ultimate to dive in on someone who gets CC'd up by the Gnar or the Rise. So a lot of ways RNG can play this out, and even a lot of kind of the X Factor type champions in a 5v5 with the potential of Mega Gnar, with the potential of Leona catching a carry and diving in to burst them out.
Yeah, we've talked about, you know, the Rise being disadvantaged in the lane against the Syndra by a lot of people's accounts, yada, yada, yada. But remember that if Cryin is able to scale up in this game, when you're looking at the composition of Damwon, there's no true tank here. You have a Thresh, and you have a Nocturne that wants to build more bruisery with the current way that the champion is played. There's not something like a Scion, right? You don't have a jungler like an Udyr that's going to just prioritize tank items. So if Rise gets to that point where he's got 4 or 5 items, say goodbye to your health bar if you ever get in range.
Exactly. It can get very, very difficult. You can also see Xiaohu going towards the Hail of Blades. We've seen a couple Gnars do this now. Really nice for the laning phase, mostly just kind of about actually proccing that 3-hit passive. Con going in for the trades, is playing with the Corrupting Potion, so happy to actually trade autos. You have the sustain from your passive auto, the cleave there, and he's actually trying to zone off experience. I'm not sure if he's accomplished that, but you have to be worried about the retreat. It's not the initial trade, but with that Q missing, he's going to take even more damage on the back.
Right.
So Con, you know, going to be chugging through a lot of his potions here early on, and
he does have more sustain.
He does have more sustain, but it's also more difficult for him to really continuously close the gap, right? He does hit level 2 first. We'll see what he can get done here.
Okay, going in. Xiaohu has no jump, remember, so the Sphere will find him there. One more auto attack. There you go. Takes a turret shot. That is a bit tragic for the Damwon top laner. That'll end up just about equalizing the health bars. Cryin goes for the flash into the Rune Prison with a nice denial. Showmaker, man, he's just too good.
Oh, he hits him with the thumbs up. As soon as he got hit by the Rune Prison, he knows what's coming. You flash Rune Prison me? All right. Flash Bear Slap coming in. So he already placed the orb and hits the scatter. Con now, though, in some trouble. He's trying to reset the wave, but Wei is behind him. I think you're dead, bud.
Yep, Wei is ready to go. Con's trying to get out. Spell Shield to block the Bear Slap. Con with a flash out, but now that the TP has arrived, Showmaker's looking for even
Double
more.
TP.
Wei can disengage it, considering both mid laners are up here in the top lane. That means 2 teleports sacrificed. Nobody's dead.
Yeah, Showmaker bailing him out on that TP, though. Con was desperately trying to reset the wave. That's why he stayed so long, even knowing that Udyr was around in a hook.
Wow, nice hook there. Gala with the cleanse guarantees that he doesn't get chain CC'd there by the Flame Chompers. Damwon, however,
TP.
with their victory here in the top lane, with the TP being used by Khan to get back into the lane now, they've also afforded Canyon the opportunity to clear the Gromp and the blue both together, something Morgana is just so adept at.
The Udyr is really behind. You know, you go for that early gank, and now you lose 2 camps on the top side, and Canyon did the double small camp clear that we talked about in one of the previous games, where he went for Raptors into Krugs. So those have respawned as well, right? So not only is he going to get the top side scuttle, he's going to get essentially like a 10 camp clear before he actually has to go back to base, because he can cycle the Raptors as well as the Krugs. He took 2 camps away from his opponent, and he's going to be sitting in a really nice position here after picking up these additional couple camps.
Down in bottom lane, let's check in here as Ghost does have quite a sizable farm lead over his opponent. He and Beryl doing well here with this Jinx Thresh combo. You know, as soon as I saw the Thresh, I knew they had to be going for something a bit more immobile than what you normally see with the Tristanas, with the Kaisas that have all this dive potential, all these playmaking tools of their own. Jinx needs protection, and Thresh is just the champion to do it. Khan, once again, wanting to get scrappy with Xiaohu here in this top lane. You see Gnar, you normally think of a lane bully, but Khan will not allow himself to be bullied in this 1v1.
Yeah, and he's playing it so aggressively, right? And that's the only way you can actually contest the harass. If you try to sit back and just go for farm, then Xiaohu gets to just harass you for free, right? He pokes away every time you go for a farm. Every time you're stepping up for a minion, you're going to be hit by the boomerang, hit by some quick autos with the Halo Blades. So he's trying to scrap with him constantly, and this does get a little bit risky because you are playing a melee champion, so you have to extend yourself in the lane to really be able to do that. So that's where it becomes so important that Canyon is tracking the Udyr, that you have a good idea of where Wei could be, so that you feel safe to do this.
All right, Showmaker hitting level 5 here in the mid lane. Remember, none of our solo laners level 6 yet. Only 5 minutes into the game. No kills on the board. Damwon with a 300 gold lead. A lot of that, of course, will be in the jungle. You already mentioned the massive CS lead. Canyon is 4 camps ahead of Wei on the Udyr. And the problem with Udyr, if he falls behind the curve of the game, it's really bad news for him as Khan gets the fear on his opponent. Xiaohu about to turn back into Mini Gnar, but Wei is up here. Khan does not have the flash, uses the spell shield to block the bear slap, and Khan can live.
Nicely done. Now it's time for a counterplay on the bot side. Will they be able to catch him?
Beryl with the flash, flame chompers are thrown down, and Ming is gone. Damwon Kia gonna grab first blood for the first time here in this series.
Nicely done. Even able to gift it to Ghost, which oftentimes they haven't been able to do. But in this position, they know he's dead to rights. They commit the flash there from Beryl. You know, Thresh not only having the defensive utility of that Lantern, but this can be an aggressively played combo, right? You know, if you land that play into Chompers or the hook into Chompers into play, you know, this sort of CC combo can be very, very threatening. It gets them the kill. It gets them the dragon. And really, for the first time, it gets Damwon a comfortable early game in this series.
Yeah, and you love a champion like Thresh that has 2 different abilities that, although the displacement isn't huge, it's still a displacement. And that means so much in plays like this as we take another look at how Beryl started it off.
Yeah, here it is one more time. Ming already committed the flash when the play comes through. They know he's dead to rights. He can't walk past the Chomper, so he can only go back in, which is why they felt comfortable to allow Ghost to pick that one up. Getting the Jinx ahead of the curve of the game is so huge for them. He's playing with the cleanse. He's got the early Berserker Greaves to keep that push. You utilize the long-range rockets, you proc your lethal tempo, and you've got an enormous amount of attack speed to be able to constantly push this Kaisa in. And we'll see what RNG want to do about it, because thus far it's been mostly about trying to pressure Khan, right? And what have they really accomplished? They got his flash, sure, but that's almost back up.
He's down 1 wave.
Yeah, he's down 1 wave, but like we don't even know. There's probably more for him to farm. So it's basically parity up there on that top side, and yeah, there is more for him to farm. So really, we've seen Damwon get so much more done. The early investment of that gank mid lane from Wei, because of the incredible play from Showmaker, he keeps himself alive. He's alive so he can TP top and defend top, and it all kind of snowballed from there, because that got Canyon the jungle advantage, and then Canyon has tempo, he can make plays bot, that gets them the bot lane advantage, that gets them the dragon, and it's kind of this beautiful thing that you can watch Damwon do, where all of the pieces start to come together, and the dominoes start to fall for RNG, and you can see that snowball start to grow. So RNG going to be looking to put a stop to it. Cryin is post 6. So more pressure towards top seems to be the name of the game, but the response coming in from Damwon, and he's got to get out.
This is also the first time here in this series that we have seen Damwon take the first Drake. Previously, it has been RNG with that pressure with the first 2 Drakes that forced Damwon to answer them in the mid game. By securing this first one, Damwon avoids such a situation. If the next few minutes go the way of RNG, Damwon's fine chilling for a while. Just buying yourself that extra 5 minutes can mean so much if the mid game becomes this really high-tempo contest with a lot of skirmishes.
Absolutely, it really can. It just gives you so many more options, right? You know, you don't always have to go for the dragon because we always talk about the power of the individual dragons is low. It's the power of the 4 dragons combined. The Infinity Stones come together, you make it happen. Ooh, nice play.
Oh yeah, the play so good against that Leona engage. The Zenith Blade can just be so easily denied so that the follow-up stun cannot connect. RNG, however, with control over the top side river, will find themselves a Rift Herald. They'll take it no contest. Damwon can't get there in time. Nice secure.
Yeah, nicely done there by RNG. But I like the fact that Damwon doesn't just overcommit, you know, full send it to the top side, shove Ghost up there. Just allow him to keep pushing. Because if RNG sends Gala up, well, this Jinx is going to get a lot of work done on the tower. And if they don't, well, you're still winning the lane, you're still pressuring, and they are in control down here. They want to continue funneling the gold into this Jinx, get her to her power spikes a lot earlier on. And we'll see if they're going to be able to do that.
Showmaker moving towards the top lane here. We will see a 3-man response from Damwon, who know that their opponents want to drop the Rift Herald. Canyon already with the binding. Paranoia is going to be dropped down now as well with the TP coming in. Rift Herald has been summoned up. Damwon will be answered with an equal number here from RNG. Shelly gets the charge. Not much more to be found there. But Damwon try to make a play. RNG's ready to respond. They'll use the Rift Herald, grab the plates, and get everybody out.
Yeah, nicely done. They do get those plates. Prediction on the juke was not right there from Beryl. But it's just been relentless pressure up here towards Khan. And it very clearly tells me RNG want to play side lanes, right? They're looking less for the 5v5, more for the 1-3-1, or at the very least the 1-4, which is why they're so desperately trying to put Xiaohu in a winning position. If you can split up this team, if you can have members running around everywhere trying to answer side lanes where the Rise is pushing, where the Gnar is pushing, Damwon's composition becomes a lot weaker. You know, Jinx wants to function as part of a unit. She wants people to create space for her so she can go nuts. You know, Jinx is not good in skirmishes, is not good in 1v1s traditionally, and that is why RNG are so focused on get the top lane advantage, split the map apart, peel apart this Damwon composition, and don't allow Ghost to have his little army of minions protecting him.
And it's not just about the positives for Xiaohu, right? It's also about making sure that Khan is not in a position to do the thing that Nocturne is so good at against split push comps and constantly threatening a 2v1 situation. If Nocturne's a wet noodle, it's a 1.5v1. It doesn't matter that much. You're not that scared of it when he turns off the lights, right? But that's the goal. You gotta make sure that he's not able to do that. Otherwise, the split pushing becomes so much scarier. It's gotta be so much more precise. Ming steps forward, sees the enemy ward there with a sweeper, but realizes that something's probably up, steps away before the hook finds him, but Damwon will find their second Drake of the game here once again, uncontested.
Yep, the shoe is on the other foot. It's RNG, who are gonna have to make those decisions around when, if they want to contest. Khan gotta be a little bit careful as Kryten is there trying to contest these camps, knowing he is playing weak side, so he didn't feel comfortable moving up towards that tower with the potential of a 3-man dive coming through. Does mean the tower very likely going down or just about to go down, so he will have to give that one up. They finally do lose the tower. Despite the fact that he is down quite a bit of gold, honestly, I think Khan has played a pretty impressive game. There's been non-stop pressure up there. Canyon looking for the potential of a play down here, but Kryten is roaming and does have that Realm Warp.
Yeah, with Death Sentence and the Dark Binding both missing, there's not much of a play to be found. Khan will continue to play the weak side, farm up however he can. Obviously, all that attention being paid up there has afforded Xiaohu the ability to get the first turret. The Rift Herald doing a ton of work in terms of that. Stridebreaker now online for the Gnar 2. But this is also, when RNG puts their faith in Xiaohu, that's also pressure on Xiaohu. He has to convert this advantage into more meaningful things later on in the game.
Absolutely. And it also makes me think back to the Scion ban again, right? If this is your game plan from the word go, that you are going to pressure a side lane, that you're going to try to put the top laner down, well, Scion's not really the one to do it, right? Because Scion kind of doesn't care what you're doing, how much you're pressuring him. Khan is going to be able to get his experience, Khan is going to be able to get whatever gold he can pick up, and he's going to be fine on the Scion. So it's more of a big deal if you put him behind on this Nocturne, kind of needs more gold to be able to really function how he wants to function in the team fights, but still, Khan has done an admirable job surviving. The pace of the game definitely has slowed down. The gold is pretty much to parity here now. So it's going to be up to RNG. Do they want to make their mark in this game at this next dragon? Will they contest the third dragon here, or are they willing to give it over? It is not Infernal. It will be Mountain for the first time here available. And they're looking...
Okay, they're ready to try to stop the invade coming out from Xiaohu. He's doing a good job trying to fight him off in a 1v2, but he just can't quite do it. And the kill goes over to Khan.
Nice little trap there. They set Xiaohu trying to move into the jungle, trying to utilize that top lane pressure, but he didn't have eyes on where Canyon was. And when you run into the jungler, you get bound up, all of a sudden Nocturne's just gonna show up, right? This is not the standard top laner. He can assist without having to match the roam. He just stays in lane and just joins with the ulti. So well played there. Crying again, looking for these roams, but you gotta give credit to Damwon. He has been spotted every time he's leaving lane. They're always giving respect to him. Crying has done an admirable job. I mean, he has been moving out of his lane constantly. He's just not finding anything. He's still keeping his farm up. He's actually even with Showmaker, who has been pretty active on the map as well, despite the fact that they're both sitting on a donut as far as the scoreline does go. But it just hasn't panned out because the two teams have been so smart about actually tracking and responding to the pressure that these mid laners are putting on the map.
And talking about responses, with it being just about 2 minutes away from the objective now, with this third Drake spawning, it's now time to see how RNG responds to the situation that they had put Damwon in both previous games. They're down 0-2 in terms of Drakes. It is a very close game in terms of gold. If RNG isn't feeling it, if they feel like Damwon's got the better setup, they're more powerful now, they have item breakpoints, whatever, they can opt out of this. But then they will have to fight every Drake thereafter for the rest of the game. Mountain Soul against a team with a Jinx, that extra protection, the power of that shield go a long way. They don't want to give that up.
Absolutely agree. And then you're looking not only at the black shield, but you're looking at just a generic shield on top with that Mountain Soul potential. Syndra as well. These are both champions that can be vulnerable to die because they don't have any move blocks, any dashes built into the kit, right? They're relying on their flash, and they're relying on the durability of their champions, the peel from their teammates. The Mountain Soul on top can work wonders in those situations where we've seen so many times Gala on this Kai'Sa flying into the back line, instantly popping you. If that doesn't happen, it turns bad fast, right? If you try to make that swing towards the back line and they have that extra couple hundred HP from the Mountain Soul shield, well, maybe all of a sudden you can't get the kill and it gets turned around.
We've got Leandries coming online for both of the mages here on Damwon. Kraken Slayer also for both AD carries. And with Udyr having the Kim tank ready to go, that's the go button if RNG decides they want to press it. We'll see them making a move towards the bottom lane now. Could be a potential three-man play. Last rocket from Ghost will find the turret, and the Get Excited passive allows him to get out of the range of Ming's Solar Flare before RNG can try to make a move.
But I think based on the positioning here from RNG, they want to contest at this dragon. They're trying to fight for vision in the river right now. They've all got their mythics going except for the supports, of course. So I think they are feeling like they're in a pretty good spot. I mean, yes, there is the gold advantage for Damwon, but that's largely from the tower that was just taken. So the gold on the map is actually even. They drop the Herald. They're going to have that charging out in that mid lane. And RNG are looking to contest here. So much of this game will hinge on this 5v5. Xiaohu close to Mega Gnar here. If they can force that to pop out and wait it out, then Damwon are in a good spot.
Well, RNG are making the call to go after the dragon now. They know that the Gnar bar is running out. Khan's already onto the back line. He's looking for the damage on the enemy AD carry. Cleanse already used, but now control over the Drake pick goes over to Damwon. Xiaohu tries to go in for the Mega Gnar, but he doesn't find a lot. He's about to die. There it is, a kill coming out for Ghost, but now he's got to be careful. Khan's going to die first. A lot of damage being traded back and forth. Ming barely lives with about 50 HP. Double kill back over to Wei. RNG have found a fight. Here comes your Realm Warp, but a beautiful hook coming out from Barrel. Canyon stuck in a 1v3. He will fall, and RNG ties this game in kill.
Man, RNG make it happen. They needed to win this fight around the dragon, and they're just barely able to pull it off. Ghost was so close to getting the resets on multiple members there. A lot of RNG members did get very low. The fight starts off here with Gala just sectioned to the side here in the new Axe Effect replay. You can see Khan getting onto him, forcing out the cleanse, forcing out the ulti, but the binding goes wide, and Xiaohu with the dying breaths here of the Mega Gnar flashing forward, lands a 3-man stun with his W. That was game-changing from Xiaohu. And Ghost here, I thought he was going to get the kill on Ming. He doesn't. I thought they might have been able to take down Cryan. They could not. And it allows them to fly forward here. Great timing from Canyon, though. Credit to him to land the binding on Cryan, drop the pool, the spooky dirt, help him to take him down there with Barrel.
Azael, this is so reminiscent of game 2, but the other way around. Remember that back in game number 2, it was that third Drake. It was RNG having a lead, then the Dragon ends up getting stolen, the subsequent fight goes the way of Damwon, and all of a sudden the pendulum swings. And now here in game number 3, it's doing the same thing again, the other direction. Damwon losing that fight, losing 4 players, means a lot for the overall state of this game heading forward 19 minutes in.
It absolutely does. And one of the things that you got to look at is, hey, there's flash advantages over on Damwon, but can they actually get RNG to fight prior to their flashes coming back up? And I think that's probably going to be no. I mean, RNG doesn't really have a reason to fight. Baron's not on the map. There's no Dragon for almost 4 minutes. And when that comes around, they're going to have those summoners back. So my question becomes, can Damwon force something, utilize their advantage as far as the summoners, punish someone like Gala, who's down that flash, who's down that cleanse right now, when you've got flash on Showmaker, on Khan, on Ghost, all ready to go?
Okay, overall state of the game, you already mentioned the flashes. Let's look in on the teleports as well. 2 of those up for RNG, only 1 available for Damwon. Showmaker's teleport still has a way to go before that one comes back online. Both AD carries don't have the cleanse right now either, so neither of them have that extra get out of jail free card if they end up needing it. Second items are done. A little bit different than the usual similar builds for both champions because of the rapid fire cannon being the pick over the Phantom Dancer here for Ghost. Yeah. It doesn't give you the same amount of DPS as a Phantom Dancer does, but it gives you just that extra power, that extra little bit of range that could make the difference.
Exactly. A lot of it's really just about rocket poke with the Jinx, right? You go into the range form, you get the boost of range when you are utilizing those rockets, you have the rapid fire proc, and you can just get 1 crit down on a Rise or on the Kaisa before the fight starts. That can change it, right? You know, especially once you have the IE in there. It also makes sieging a lot more safe. You step forward, you get down the 1 little bit of poke there with the rapid fire proc. So Ghost has a preference towards the safety, the utility that this item will bring him. And I tend to think it's a pretty good choice when you are playing something like the Jinx, who is so dependent upon your positioning.
Okay, Khan's going in, really trying to scare Gala away here, but Gala's not one to be easily intimidated. Canyon throwing out the Dark Binding, but doesn't find a whole lot out of it here just yet. Soul Shackles are immediately denied. Damwon tries to make a play, but there's not a play to be made. Cryan with that ulti here to join the fight. Barrel tries to death sentence him, but can't quite find the accuracy needed. And that's just honestly a whole lot of nothing here for Damwon. They saved the mid lane turret, but they obviously wanted so much more.
They really did, right? And I think that was their window where they're saying, all right, go, let's force, let's try to punish those flashes that are still missing. But a little bit of hesitation. You know, Canyon did start up the ult, but then it immediately kind of stepped backwards with it, and the tether was broken. I think that was because they saw such a quick collapse coming in from RNG. Cryan was ulting over to mid lane. Damwon was not confident they had the pieces in place to win that fight right off the bat and didn't want to overcommit on something. So instead, they will just slow it down and wait towards this next dragon. I think we are heading towards a collision course here at dragon number 4. RNG looking to get their second. Damwon still looking to move towards Soul Point, and we'll see who's going to be able to do it. That last fight was honestly so close, so back and forth. The tiniest differences really did change things for RNG, and we'll see if Damwon can make the adjustments or find the plays to really be able to flip that fight on its head, because Flash is now available pretty much across the board, so it's going to be that all-in brawl that you know and love.
Oh, I am so ready for it. You can see Seraph's Embrace now fully completed, fully evolved for Showmaker, having that extra power there. Also, Stopwatch in Canyon's inventory. You brought up at the start of this game when you're talking about how the comp wants to play, that Morgana players really need that second item. They need the Zhonyas if they want to play aggressively. And the stopwatch will be a nice band-aid for that until it is completed. It means that Canyon can play this upcoming team fight very aggro if that's the way Damwon want to do it.
And there's been such a battle over Vision over at this Baron, constantly dropping wards in. Wei comes in, clears them out. They aggro the Baron. They try to clear them out back and forth. Damwon clearly very concerned about the ability that RNG has to rush down a Baron. We saw that happen to them in game 1. They do not want it to happen to them again here. So they get that vision. Wei is still up by that Baron, so pretty interesting that he is committing so heavily to this vision battle. Does put him a little bit out of position here for this mid lane push. Means Damwon will get the early shove here. Will they move over and start this dragon? Not just yet. Neither team willing to actually commit fully to it. I like what Damwon are doing though. Send down 1 or 2 members, start up the dragon, and have the rest watching for a potential Baron start because RNG are going for it.
That's what happens when Rise is in the game. Wei's coming in, trying to make the play. Khan's gonna be stunned up here on the front. Wei's in a really bad spot, about to be taken down, but he survives for now. Ghost wants to go in the chase, but the paranoia has come out. They won't get anything just yet, but they wait, and Khan gets the kill, and he's gonna get out. He's a smooth criminal, baby.
And they're gonna go onto the Baron. That's jungler down. Xiaohu, no flash, no health. Damwon will start this up. They still have flash on Jinx. They still have flash on Khan, Canyon, and Beryl. They could even turn for this. If RNG steps too far forward, they might lose the fight as well, but they're taking the back spikes. It's a lot of damage.
This is going to be crazy. Here we go. RNG have decided to initiate. Beryl goes over the wall. He's already down. Showmaker's going to drop here next. Khan's going to be the third to die. RNG with a massive amount of cleanup here so far. Gala goes over the wall. Canyon's going to be the last man standing. RNG destroy Damwon Kia.
Gala wiping him off the map. Damwon didn't want to turn for the fight. They refused to do so, and they get crushed in the 4v5 there. Gala free firing, flying into the backline. Ming landing that CC on multiple members as Damwon grouped up behind the Baron, taking the back spikes from the Baron there. So much damage came across, and Damwon are gonna want that fight back, but RNG are not gonna give it to him. No refunds indeed. Let's watch this one more time. Look at them, they're all stacked up, getting hit by the back spikes into the back line. That's 2 members stunned up by the Leona ultimate. A third would have been stunned, but Ghost was black shielded. He's pushed out. Nicely timed ult from him, crushes through Crying. But guess what? It's Gala. He saved the ulti the whole time. Follows you over the wall there, knocks down Ghost. Damwon out on the map. They're pushing for this dragon, but I don't think they have the position to be able to do it. Oh no, that blast cone.
Canyon fires off the binding, but he won't find the target. Xiaohu's here on the front line, trying to go into the Mega Gnar, wants to find the play to be made. Dragon's already secured by Wei in the side of RNG. Here comes your Rise ulti. Beautiful pick there on the enemy support, and everything is coming up RNG.
Damwon out of sorts, trying to force their way into that dragon, hoping that RNG would have had a lazy reset, that they wouldn't beat the dragon in time, but RNG was there, and Damwon got completely split on the exit. They lose the dragon, they lose the tower, they lose Beryl, and now RNG on the march. What was looking like a Damwon game the first time they were ahead in the early game, the first time they took those early dragons, it's now fully in control by RNG. They have this split push comp. They're winning 5v5s. They're tied in dragons. They're ahead in gold. They are really taking over.
RNG, man. Now, with everything going in their favor here in the past few minutes. And remember, this is a squad. Never mind, let's go ahead and look at the replay. I'll get into this a little bit later.
Yeah, let's watch this one more time. Ghost, nice sidestep on the ulti there. The blast cone, very ill-advised to me. You've now split Ghost and Showmaker from the rest of your squad. These are not champions that can function on their own. I talked about it a lot earlier. Jinx and the Syndra cannot then say, all right, well, let's go in. We'll just come and hit them from behind. You know, they'll turn on you and they'll kill you instantly. So as soon as you are split there, RNG pounce. They go for Beryl. They go for Khan. They were sectioned off from the rest of the team. Good usage of that Realm Warp there from Crying. And they just think, you know, mispositioning and a little bit of panic, it feels like, for Damwon, kind of over-forcing of this dragon that felt pretty clearly like it wasn't going to be theirs after they lost the Baron fight. And that just feels like one of those plays where you get in your own head, you made one mistake, you want to get it back, we lost the Baron, that should have been ours, but we got to get this dragon. And when you overstep, these top-level teams will be there to punish.
But the cost of one mistake is so fresh in Damwon's minds because remember, the very first game that they played against RNG, day one of the Rumble stage, it was Damwon ahead for 25 minutes. And then RNG ends up finding a fight, they end up taking the lead, and they end the game before 30. Damwon is all too familiar with how powerful a single mistake versus this team can be, and RNG is ready to continue pushing the lead. Baron expires now with just about 3,500 gold there on the Baron power play. It's still about a 3,500 gold lead for the side of RNG, and they're looking to take down the tier 2 here in the bot lane.
Man, it just keeps happening. It feels like these marksman duels in every single game. They're always the members getting fed. They're always the ones that you gotta have your eyes on in these team fights, and they are both ready to go. 3 items on either side. The stopwatch on top there for Gala. Ghost is down a lot of experience, which is significant as far as the power, and that's largely because Kai'Sa, it's safer to send the Kai'Sa out to be able to grab these waves on her own, whereas you kind of have to have someone glued to the Jinx to make it safe to farm these waves, and as a result, he's quite a bit down in experience there to Gala, which results in a lot of gold as far as the stats are concerned that you get from those level ups.
Right, every level is worth, I can't remember the exact number. It also varies by champion, but it's around like 300 or 400 gold, I think. So pretty impactful in a game that's been so close, in a series that's been so close. Under 2 minutes before that next Drake spawns. Remember, it's still not a soul. Either way, one of the teams will be able to go to soul point with this, but nobody's earning themselves a mountain soul here just yet. Checking in on where all the items are. It is a 3-item power spike for both AD carries. We've got that hourglass finally up and fully completed over for Canyon. We'll see how much of a difference it can make. But man, Cryon has also had some really good realm warps here on this Rise. And so that's something that you always have to play around, and it's so different from every other champion. No other champion in the game is able to pose the same sort of unique threat that Rise does with a well-placed ultimate.
Absolutely, because there's a lot of champions that can reposition themselves. There's not a lot of champions that have that ability to reposition their front line aggressively. You know, you can have a Thresh pull one member in, but when all of a sudden a Gnar is on your face, an Udyr is in there, you're getting chased down, anytime you split, becomes a death sentence because he's going to pop that Realm Warp. They're going to collapse on that weak side from Damwon and really look to punish. It is very, very threatening. Looking like Ghost here going for either a GA or a Bloodthirster fourth. A little bit surprised to not see a Last Whisper coming through. There's a lot of armor being actually built up. You know, 2 Deadman's plates. Obviously, the tank item there, the Chem Tank for Wei has armor on it as well. But feeling like he wants to go towards a little bit more safety and the flat AD. And Ghost still has the ability to take over this game, to win out in these team fights. With Canyon behind him, having the Black Shield there, they're going!
Oh, they're ready to go, but a nice Black Shield's able to keep the AD carry safe. Damwon are trying to disengage, and RNG are ready to go even further. Canyon's about to die here on the front line, but he does get away here with a flash. Wei's coming in, looking to make even more happen, but it's already a kill on the enemy jungler. Wei stays alive. Khan's not able to clean anything up here just yet. Nice 2-man Mega Gnar coming out from Xiaohu. Barrel with a defensive flash of his own. RNG continuing to press forward. You can see Xiaohu trying to find an opportunity here, but there's really not much to be found. He'll revert back to the mini Gnar here in just a moment. What a close fight there for Wei, who barely got away.
And that's the gold lead in action. Wei survives with a sliver, Canyon dies. You have a tiny bit more damage in the tank there for Damwon. Wei goes down, they can't attempt this Baron, but instead, they are going straight for it. Damwon just gotta give it up. They're gonna try to grab a dragon for themselves, put themselves at soul point, and you are just even more on the back foot. Showmaker can look, try to flip a steal, but it's not worth it, honestly.
Yeah, it absolutely. Not when the enemy jungler is ready to go. Yeah. Not when they have so much catch potential and you don't have your Thresh or your Morgana anywhere nearby. It's just an int at that point.
I mean, you go for it. Maybe you steal it, but chances are you show up there with the ward over the wall. If you die, it gets so bad because then, you know, the push with the Baron buff, there's no defense, right? You can't actually hold your base. So really, Damwon is looking for the very long distance plan now. They are really hoping to slow down this game, to try to defend the push, to try to look towards Soul, and that is their kind of light at the end of the tunnel here. But things are getting very, very tough. The experience advantages are definitely there on the side of RNG. You can see multiple levels in a couple of the roles, top as well as bot. Pretty big deal, and they're able to play this one out one more time. They're feeling safe because they have the Black Shield. And yes, Ghost does get protected, but the Leona ultimate goes behind, and they just pile forward. Canyon is forced into that Zhonya's immediately, and then the rest of the team is already split again. Showmaker's off to the side. Khan can't really enter. He's separated from the rest of the team. Ghost gets hit by the Mega Gnar there, is peeling back. And just barely, they didn't have enough damage to knock down the Udyr, which was such a game-changing play because otherwise it's just a 1-for-1. There's likely no Baron to be taken, but instead RNG, one team fight away from a potential victory here. We'll see if they can get that damage done.
lot of damage coming out there onto Ming, but the Chompers do not arm in time to continue the CC chain, so he will be able to walk that one off. RNG will continue to use this Baron here for the next 90 seconds, trying to secure every advantage they can, but honestly, it's getting to the point where it's time for the big push, because this is the last standing turret outside the enemy base. RNG should be able to take it down here. They have the cannon minion, slowly but steadily putting that DPS into the tier 2. They're already going in! Gala, man, he's already in the back line with a Guardian Angel. Barrel's trying to stay alive. Showmaker's under pressure from Wei. Showmaker taking the kill onto Ming here. Xiaohu trying to chase after Barrel. Everybody except the AD carry. Holy moly, man. Damwon lose 3. RNG is on the victory push. You want to engage with an AD carry? You want to play AD carry like a Chad? You watch Gala VODs, man.
Oh my God, Uzi may be gone, but we are witnessing the birth of a new marksman legend. Gala taking the game into his hands, into the back line, 1v5, and oh baby, he likes those odds.
There it is, RNG. They were down early, they responded beautifully. They will win game number 3 and move to match point.
Man, that is the play that you dream about when you see people going for those insane high risk, high reward plays. It so rarely works out. You need to play it perfectly, and Gala finds his moment, knows he has the GA, sees the angle into the backline. A near solo kill onto Ghost, which just eliminates any chance Damwon had of holding there, taking out the key member from the other team by herself in the midst of his squad. Gala is just so fearless, and it's these